Hello everyone, thank you for coming to my channel. My name is Ellen. We're working on our first Christmas card of the season. Super quick, super easy, 5-minute Christmas card with a snowman. I go over the step by step. If you're a Patreon member, you get the trace of this guy and this extra tutorial. If you want to be a Patreon member, click the link in the description box below. It's where you support my channel here on YouTube, my free content on YouTube, and get all kinds of extra tutorials that are not on YouTube, as well as some other perks like first dibs on watercolor workshops and retreat, which is really great as well. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, to begin, I'm just going to go over some simple drawing techniques to draw snowmen. I have so many on my YouTube. Go check them out. I'll put some links below. Yeah, you just basically circles. I know you could do circles. Think of circles, 1, 2, 3. One's a little bit bigger than the other one, right? And then for the hat, you either go this way or that way. You can go this way. Connect it a little bit longer than the circle. Little lines. Again, mirror that. Then you add the little cap. The nose is basically a triangle. Little eyes. And then for a scarf, you just kind of want to cut in here. Right? And then you draw one down here. You fill that in. And then simple arms. You could add whatever you want to this. You could be holding a present. Could be holding a ball, an ornament, right? Could be holding not scarf, anything else, and little dots for the buttons, or you can actually draw buttons. And then the background, you can have whatever you want. You can have a reindeer, you could have another snowman, you could have a little house. Get creative with your stuff. Okay, that's the basic way to draw a snowman. You hit circles. You could also do one that's just 2 circles, 1, 2, which is kind of cute. Similar thing again. The hat, and then the scarf is here, and the nose, little arms. I'm drawing this like really kind of goofy, but yes. You don't have to have 3 balls. So that's basically just a goofy way to draw a simple snowman, because that's all we're doing is drawing a simple snowman. So I have Arch 100% cotton cold pressed paper for this, and like I said, the traceable is on my Patreon as well as the other tutorial. And I'm using a Sharpie permanent marker, ultra fine point. Now it has to be permanent, not the other one that's not permanent. You don't want that one. You want the permanent one, and this is the ultra fine point. And I've already drawn up my snowman. Like you said, you draw your snowman and pencil, whatever, and then you're going to take this, I'm going to draw on top of that, just really loose and fast. Just not every single line, but maybe most of them. So here you see me drawing the brim of the hat, the cap. I'm just doing some wiggles for the knitted, like little pom-pom. Going to do some little lines for the knitted hat. Quickly draw in the nose, just really loose though. And you don't have to fill in like a line all the way through for the design. See, I'm gonna cut off some pieces. I broke them up. It just makes it more interesting. I'm just doing this really quickly, by the way. And I put some little mittens on this guy, a little string to connect them. I could do the little knit part here. You can get very creative with this. The drawing part. There's a little smile and then little eyes, right? In the background, I'll put a little snow. He's like on the snow, and there's the fringe, right, of the scarf. Put another one back here, and maybe I'll draw some really loose trees. They could be like evergreen trees, really loose. And notice how I'm not drawing every branch. I'm just kind of using this as a guide, but you could draw all the branches if you want to do that. Just keep them there. Now you want to give this marker like a minute or 2 before you go ahead and start painting or erasing your lines, because even though it's a permanent marker, it can bleed a little bit. So you give it a minute or 2. I use this kind of eraser, gum eraser, kneaded eraser. The kneaded eraser, and then I just erase my lines, and I go in. Now you could put a sky background or not put a sky background. It's up to you. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to grab a simple brush here, a number 12 Princeton Aqua Elite, and keep the colors simple, right? I'll be using pyrol rubin, which is a great color from Holbein. The hat could be a deep green, whatever, and the ground is just, and the body a little bit bluish gray, right? So if we want to like take ultramarine blue deep, and a little bit of burnt sienna to make like a bluish gray color. See how I've watered this down? It's very, very light. I'm adding more water because in watercolor you have to add water to make it light. And if it's too wet, you can always tap it on a paper towel. And we're just going to go like this real quick under this little scarf on his side, right? You can dip it in water, get it even lighter. It's a little bit dark. Really kind of loose. Go on the side here. We're not filling all of this in. And then on the snow area, I might add a little bit more blue for the snow. Just like that. You could make it a little bit more bluer too on the body too. See if it was a little bit grayer. I'm going to add a little bit more blue, ultramarine blue. And then of course up on his face, made it a little bluer. That's how fast and simple you can do this, right? You don't have to get every single part of the body. You want to show the rolls a little bit more. Maybe you can kind of go indentation a little bit in here, like that. And so then for the pyrol rubin, it's a great color. Loosen that up. Really kind of simple. Gonna go pretty fast, actually. Just gonna throw this in. That's what I'm saying. Really loose, simple, and just take this tip of your brush, drag down for the fringe in the scarf and the side fringe, drag it down. Just gonna throw it in here like this. And you don't have to fill it all in perfectly into the scarf. Little off register is great. Just makes it interesting. Now the mittens could be the same color and make the hat a different color. So I'm just gonna throw the mittens in and see how I'm not really kind of filling it in properly. It's kind of off register, and that's kind of the beauty of the look that we're going for. It's just a really loose snowman look, right? We could take away our red. And of course the hat, let's make it green. So I like my greens, it's how I'd like to do that. Prussian blue and a little bit of yellow. And tad bit of like maybe a burnt umber or burnt sienna. I just like to make my greens. It's just preference from me. And again, really kind of simple and loose, drawing it in the hat. Look at that, it's cute, right? You don't have to do fill in all the blanks kind of situation. Now, might want to water the greens down a little bit. If you want those trees in the background, add a little bit more yellow. And I'm just going to loosely throw in, leaving some white. See how I'm leaving white patches so like the snow hit it? Now I've watered it down so it's light. And I'm leaving white in between. See, I'm kind of just tapping in a little bit of color and leaving some white. And then I'm going to make it a little bit darker with more Prussian blue and a little bit of burnt umber. Just mix those two. And you can kind of tap in some of that color while it's wet on that lighter color. If you want a more Kelly-ish lighter green, you can add that too. I'm going to water this down. It's a little bit dry. So now we have this nice loose look for the trees in the background. And I'm going over the color I did. You kind of have to move a little bit fast, as you can see that I'm doing here. A little fast. And look how cute that looks. Just a simple, simple, simple. And of course the nose. So orange, or just use cadmium yellow deep, a little bright cadmium red light. You can make an orange. Or if you have an orange color that you like to use, just do that. And just fill in the nose. Really simple, right? Now we'll get a little bit more sophisticated. I think we need to add a little layer of this blue that we kind of, the bluish gray that we mixed up in the first place. I'll mix a little bit more, a little bit darker, because it dried late. And then you have to go back over here and add another layer, kind of like a shadow under the scarf. Right here on the left-hand side. Gonna get a little bit more blue in here. And on the side. A bit more blue in the snow. And underneath these little lines that we made here. And if you want to get even more sophisticated, you could add some greens to the scarf, make a plaid. Right now you can just leave it the way it is. And a little bit more color here. I'm going to add a little color on the side. So you get this is the simplest basic snowman. We'll get a little bit more sophisticated by adding a little bit deeper greens on the hat. See, and we have to add the pom-pom on the side here. Just a tad bit more sophisticated. Same thing on the trees, a little bit darker again because it dried lighter. That's why we always start light. We don't want to go dark too fast. Add a little bit more dark, tapping in a little bit darker color. And we got to add that pom-pom. Go back to our pyrol rubin. Add a little of that color here. And just taking the pyrol rubin itself, and add a little bit more of that color up in the scarf, on the left-hand side, and even on the wonderful little mitten. That took like 5 minutes to make. Super easy, super cute, right? You can add a blue sky if you wanted to. You don't have to. And you get a little more sophisticated when it dries. Like I said, you can take the deeper green. Gonna mix up some more deeper green using the same colors I talked about. A smaller brush. This is a little more pointy brush. Use a 8 long round from this Aqua series and put in the plaid on the scarf. So you have a nice long pointy brush. Get this brush damp, wet with some water. I've got my dark green here. Now you want to kind of move the lines along with the shape of the scarf, right? So it's up and over or curving a little bit. So just put some lines here. 1, 2, 3. I do like to do 3s or 2s. And it's curving. Really kind of quick though again. And then once you got that side, you kind of go in the middle and go down. You could do 2 or 3 on that one. So this is where you get a little bit more sophisticated. Kind of curve it with the actual scarf. And then do the cross lines for the plaid. Now, for the wonderful, knitted mittens, you could do plaids or dots or whatever. You could just do little polka dots. Be kind of cute. This is where you change things up a little bit. And if you wanted to add a background for snow, you could do that. I don't know if it's necessary. We can play around with adding blue colors or not. I think it's cute the way it is. A little sophisticated. It took like 5 minutes to do. If you want to do some cute little cards for families and friends, that's all you need to do. You don't need to do snow if you don't want to do snow. If you want to paint a blue background, you can do that and then splatter some gouache for snow. Super cute, right? So again, I'll mix my ultramarine blue deep from the sky. Because in the winter it's a little grayer, and a little bit of burnt sienna. And then you can splatter some snow and look really cute. So you're going to have to go around a little snowman like this. Go around his little hands because it's easier. It's already markered in. Right? Just take your time going around this, but you're leaving some white around. And you can make it a little bit darker. Mixing those two colors and getting it darker. Right? Just fill that all in. Leave a nice little edge. And then we'll start to add some snow when it dries. Just go right over that. You can go right over the hands. Take your time going over the rest of it though. Just filling it all in. La la la. Just a whole nother look if you've never tried this. Like I said, it gets a little more sophisticated as we go. You start off with the first one. If you feel like you've challenged that and you've done it well, you can add the plaid. Now even this is pretty damp. We can make it a little bit darker. We can get a little more sophisticated by making this a little more interesting. Getting thicker paint in here. Getting a little bit darker still in some areas. Back in here. Going over my little snowman face. Around his body. And maybe a little bit darker down here by the trees. It already looks like there's snow on them because we left the white, remember? And you could tape this down, but like not taping it down, just like holding it like I'm doing here. You can paint like a real kind of nice jaggedy edge. Okay. Well, we'll have to wait for that to dry. You can use the same paint color, and by the way, and just add a little bit darker color tones, and maybe a little bit more brown. Just add a little bit more depth again in your snowman. And down here. Okay, wait for it to dry, and we'll add some snow, and we're done. Okay, it's dry. I'll just take some white gouache over white watercolor because it's a little more opaque. Loosen this up. You want it loose, not super loose. I'm using a 12 round for this, and I always kind of tap it on another brush or a pencil or pen, and you tap the snow. A little bit looser, it gets bigger ones. Let's see if we can get even bigger ones. Really loose. And it's snowing on the snowman. Don't go too crazy. You can tap a little bit bigger ones too. So those are tiny. And you can take the brush because it's bigger and do a couple like big ones. Kind of going around here like big, thick, or you could tap it too. Which is kind of cute. And you have a really cute Christmas card that took you minimal time. People would really appreciate the effort. You know, you can attach it to, I would attach it to cardstock. It could be red, it could be green. I have a piece of black here that's really kind of pulls it right out. Really cute. I think it was a lot of fun and super easy for anyone just beginning watercolor. So that was super fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, if you're a Patreon member, you get the additional tutorial going over this step by step and drawing that as well as the traceable. And if you want to be a Patreon member, click the link in the description box below. All the details are there on Patreon, what you get for joining Patreon. And you can join and cancel anytime, and it really helps support me here on YouTube, which I really appreciate. So I hope you enjoyed this cute little quick Christmas card. Let me know. Leave a comment below. Thank you so much for stopping by. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.